for sure the positives are that, there is stuff in the works to better specifically the rear impacts. And ironically, that's been the majority of my crashes this year has been rear impacts, and they've hurt really bad. So I'm glad that there's stuff in the works to improve those style impacts, and hopefully we can just continue to improve the safety of the next gen car, because the wrecks hurt right now.
And I don't want to presume too much, but I know that every accident is different, every reaction, every body is different. I know you had talked in the past about some of your rear end accidents, about having the headaches and things like that. Obviously, we've seen a couple guys with concussions. Looking back, do you ever worry that you might have had a concussion in those type of situations, or from your viewpoint, it was just a simple headache?
I mean, it's hard to say. A headache is definitely not a good sign or a good symptom, but from the days moving on past that, I don't recall any symptoms that raised any red flags that says I shouldn't get in the race car the following week. So if that was the case, then I definitely would have raised my hand and say, hey guys, something's not right. But fortunately, I guess I've been able to heal, or just the symptoms have gone away.
This might be sort of an ignorant question, so apologies if it is, but do all wrecks hurt in the same way? Like, you've taken like huge vicious wrecks in a midget. Like when you get hit in the rear here, is that comparable, or is that two different sensations?
I'm trying to think, but I guess they are similar. If you hit your head, you hit your head. And definitely the rear impacts, for whatever reason, are impacting it's a head that's an issue. But yeah, so I would say if you hit your head, you hit your head.
And in a midget or a sprint car, when you're wrecking, are you like bracing forward, like how they're asking you to?
Yeah.
So
typically that is my brace impact. I will lock out my Hans tethers, grip the wheel, and just kind of close my eyes and brace for impact, right? But it is interesting that that's the worst thing to do for a rear impact, and I'm sure it's the same way in a sprint car too. So one thing that we've been talking about is decreasing our Hans tethers, which ironically Kyle Busch has been really, really hard on that ever since he had his incident at Daytona years ago. So that was whenever I was first getting started in NASCAR, and he pushed that hard on me to make sure that our Hans tethers are as short as we can stand. So I'll probably take another step in shortening those just so that my head is more contained. But yeah, definitely brace impact is, lock your head forward and grip the wheel as tight as you can.
Stephen Toronto, CBS Sports. Along the same topic of sprints and midgets, and I asked Kyle the same question earlier, but there was a narrative for so many years that car owners were hesitant to allow you and other drivers to race sprints and midgets because of the idea that those disciplines were dangerous. Safety was an issue there a couple of years ago, especially after Jason Leffler and Brian Clausen had their accidents. And now all of a sudden, stock cars, having been regarded as so safe for so long, now there's safety issues in this discipline. So for you, is it surprising or shocking at all that now we're in a situation where the narrative has shifted on safety in stock car racing?
Yeah, I think it's very, very, very surprising, and not where we want to be for sure as stock car racing in general. But the good news is that we realize where we're at, I think, as an industry, and at least from our meeting yesterday, it seems like NASCAR's, they understand where we're at too, and everyone's focused on moving forward. But yeah, it's surprising, and I don't think anyone would have seen it coming a couple years ago.